one of the five. Welcome, one and all, to South Church. Good morning, and thank you for visiting and sharing your Sunday morning with us. My name is Jonathan Cummings. I'm one of a team of worship associates that have the honor of welcoming you to services at South Church. Before announcements, I want to acknowledge that South Church is supported by its wonderful staff, by interim minister Reverend Susan Sahusky Brown, and director of Lifespan Ministry Kirsten Hunter. The music is graciously offered today by Susan Adams. The chancel flowers are given by Cindy Brown, longtime member and former chair of our board. Special thanks to Tim D'Elia for the videography. And today's sermon is going to be offered by Bob Vaccaro, who has a special message from you. It's a little different than our usual, but I think it's going to be quite informative and interesting to everyone. The South Church Spiritual Book Group is hosting a discussion of the book Cast, The Origins of Our Discontent by Isabel Wilkerson on Wednesday, September 8th at 7 p.m. The book group is also inviting the congregation to an all-church book discussion of Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. The Book Review editors chose Hamnet as one of the top 10 books of 2020 and described it as a portrait of unspeakable grief, wreathed in great beauty. The all-church book discussion will be on Wednesday, October 13th at 7 p.m. All are welcome to attend both meetings. Please email southchurchbookgroup@gmail.com for the Zoom links. Aging with Grace is a participatory group of men and women who explore joys and concerns in the aging process. The group meets on the second Wednesday of each month, but will meet on September 15th this month since there are 5 Wednesdays. To get on the email list and to receive the Zoom link for the September meeting, please email Ingrid at inkyjapan@yahoo.com. Sign-ups for this year's small groups will begin online next Sunday, September 12th. Last year, a participant commented that small groups let me share from the heart and give me a sense of community in a time of transition. Stay tuned for more information or reach out to Rita or Greg for info in advance. Contact info can be found in your Sunday morning email. South Church has 4 seats opening up on the Board of Trustees, which is a great opportunity for congregants to make a difference in our community and to help share the future. There are also 2 seats opening on the nominating committee, a great fit for past board and committee members who want to stay connected. If interested, please reach out to a member of the nominating committee. Contact info can be found in your Sunday morning email. There are few things in life that are as personal and deeply held and yet as conspicuously thrust upon us in society as religious beliefs. Some people conform to a set of tenets or commandments. Others tread their own paths. Some keep their beliefs private. Others proselytize. Some follow the latest fad, and some maintain the traditions they were born into. People seek out the truth from external sources or within themselves. While I've been talking about religious beliefs here, I could just as easily have been talking about diets. I grew up in a family with traditions, a liberal mindset, and a concern for sustainability. I've shared before how that affected my views on religion, and my exploration of diet was similar. My parents chose to raise me on a vegetarian diet in the early years of my life. However, at age 5, I was offered steak for the first time, and the rest is history in that regard. Except it isn't, because there is so much more to a diet than what we like. While I love the taste and flavor of a nice ribeye or a lamb chop, I also love the planet. I grew up fishing, and I have killed my own Thanksgiving turkey, and my job is to conserve endangered species. As a child, I remember the message was I needed to drink milk to grow big and strong, and I hated it, so I didn't drink it or grow big, obviously. But I was athletic and strong for my build, and for most of my life, I've been blessed to essentially just eat what I want when I want it and maintain my athleticism. But then, as happens with everyone, my metabolism slowed, the impact of industrial livestock farming became clearer, my time for exercise diminished, and I learned about the success of the game changers, elite athletes across a range of pursuits, from greatest of all-time tennis players, weightlifters, ultra runners, bodybuilders, and martial artists, and more who follow a plant-based diet. I don't have a conclusion or a diet that I'm going to offer you, because, like religion, my views on the matter are a jumbled, shifting mix made of many parts and are still in development. No liquid dairy, but cheese, yum. Very little meat, so when I do, it is local organic choice cuts, or it is plant-based chicken. The imitation stuff has gotten really good. Try it. Sorry, I said I wouldn't push anything, but as I mentioned, and as you can see, diets carry the same baggage that religions do. But in the spirit of South Church, where we explore and learn from the soul-felt stories of others, I invite you today to listen and think about what you hear today in the same way you would any other sermon. A possibility, one to explore, take in, adopt, reject, amend, or contemplate, and then choose for yourself what to stomach.
So our chalice will be lit by Jonathan Cummings. He's our youngest and most athletic and most educated worship associate, and also the group convener. He holds a doctorate in natural resources. He's married to Lauren Cordonove, has 2 dogs, Bodie Bay and Dobby Bob, 4 chickens, and Lauren knows their names, he doesn't, and a baby and a button quail named Gumba. As he lights the chalice, I'd like to shine a light on this quote from Albert Einstein. "Nothing will benefit human health and increase chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet." I repeat, nothing will benefit human health and increase chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution to a vegetarian diet. Sorry. Now I invite you to read along with me our mission statement. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community.
Hello. Welcome to our Time for All Ages. I'm going to be telling a story today that I've told before. It's the story of Gluskabe and the game bag. And while I've told it before, Bob reminded me that sometimes the best stories just need to be told multiple times. So I invite you, as you hear it today, to reflect on it in a different manner, perhaps, than you did last time. I think I told it in the spirit of the holidays and thinking about how things get on our plates when we sit down to our meals during that time of year before. Today, maybe listen to it and see if you hear something new, something true, or something different to do from its version today. So, again, this is Gluskabe and the Game Bag. It's a story I learned from Wolfsong, an Abenaki storyteller I grew up listening to in Vermont. And one day, Gluskabe, he was out with his bow and his arrows in the woods. And Gluskabe is a pretty confident and probably overconfident person. So he was out there convinced it would be a good day for him. But the animals, they were listening and they heard him coming. And so they went and they hid in their burrows or up in the trees. And Gluskabe had no luck. He went back home, defeated, to where he lives with Grandmother Woodchuck. And he walked in and he said, Grandmother, good day. Grandmother, she put the stick over the door. She was busy. Gluskabe just barged right in, as he tends to do. Said, grandson, what can I do for you? Grandmother, make me a game bag. So she did. She went and she collected all the fur she could find from the snags. She gathered up a whole great pile of moose hair, and she wove it into a beautiful, large, big bag. She said, here you are, grandson. Here, perhaps this will do. Now, Gluskabe, he took the bag, said, yes, this is beautiful, grandmother. But no, this was not what I want. And he set it on the floor. Said, okay, grandson has something special in mind today. So this time, she went out again, and she found all the discarded porcupine quills that she could find. And she threaded those with the leftover moose hair. She made a smaller bag, but it was gorgeous. She said, here, grandson, Gluskabe, perhaps this is what you are after. She said, this is very, very well done, grandmother, thank you. And he threw it over his shoulder. No, that's not it. Grandmother thought, okay, something more special. I think I might have an idea of what he's after. And so she sat in the corner of her lodge. She began to pluck the fur from her own stomach. Out it came until her whole stomach was bald. And so it is today for woodchucks. She wove that with the power of herself into a bag. From the outside, it didn't look like as much. It seemed kind of small. She passed it to Gluskabe and said, yes, grandmother, this is what I'm after. This has the power that I need. For you see, this game bag would swell to fit whatever was put inside of it. So he went out back through the fields to the edge of the forest where he liked to hunt. And he heard the animals this time as they started to run away. He said, wait, don't go. A horrible, terrible thing is coming. The sun, it's going to go out. I've heard it. And the world will go dark. But here, climb inside my bag. I'll protect you. The animals were a bit skeptical, but Raccoon kind of peered out. Looked like a nice bag, and in Raccoon went. And the elk, and the deer, and moose, and fisher, and all the animals eventually climbed inside. And Gluskabe, he threw the bag over his shoulder, and he went back home, and he said, everything is perfect now. And he got back to the lodge with grandmother. He said, look, grandmother, look inside. They're all in there. I'll never have to hunt again. Her grandmother said, oh, grandson, what have you done now? How will they eat in there? How will they see the sun and get sustenance? What will you do during your day with nothing to hunt? My son, okay, yes, I guess that's true, grandmother. All right, yeah, I guess I have to fix this. So he did. He went back to the edge of the forest again, and he opened the bag. Animals, oh, terrible thing happened. The sun, it went out, but I fixed it. Everything is better. Here, go about your way. And they did. They went back out into the forest where they spent their days. Guscabe, he practiced. He got better at his hunting, so they didn't always run away. But he only took what he needed and nothing more. He learned the importance of preservation to keep them for when they were needed and not to take them all for himself. That's the story of Guscabe and the game bag. Thank you, Oleone. Appropriately, can you hear me? Appropriately, there we go. The collections from your offerings during the month of September are being shared with Gather, an organization committed to making our communities hunger-free for over 200 years. Please give as you are able. The information to do so will be shown in just a moment.
This bowl was a gift from Henry and Jean Altenberg and graced my yoga studio for about 10 years. I've been dying to learn what it would sound like in this monumental space. So this is a time for meditation. I encourage you to sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor if you can, maybe a little taller than usual. When you're ready, close your eyes. And start a slow, deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly first, and taking air in as long as you can. Eventually, it might fill your chest, but don't worry about that. And then hold the breath in and slowly let it out through your nose, pulling your belly in, pushing out all the air. Let's do it one more time. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly first for as long as you can. Hold the breath in, and then slowly let it out through your nose, pulling your belly in to push out all the air. Then just relax into your normal, easy breathing, whatever that is for you. Be curious about the way your body breathes when you're not trying to control it. How much space between the breaths, how shallow or deep each breath, and whether that varies. Now, thoughts will come into your mind, but without judging them, each time you realize you're thinking, just bring your attention back quickly to the physical sensation of breathing, either in your belly, or feeling your belly rise and fall, or feeling the air move in and out of your nostrils. Let's do this for maybe a minute and a half. Throughout history, there have been advocates for man to eat a plant-based diet and stop systemic violence toward animals. These luminaries include Socrates, Pythagoras, Jesus, Buddha, Leonardo da Vinci, Shakespeare, and Gandhi. In the United States, we have Ralph Waldo Emerson, Susan B. Anthony, Rosa Parks, and many others. But not my family. My grandfather became a stay-at-home husband after his bout with polio forced him to leave his factory job. He would frequent the local meat market for free scraps of meat and bones to flavor his daily tomato sauce. My father considered it a sign of making it into the middle class that we could eat steak rather than pasta and beans. My mother made her culinary mark by creating desserts in which she doubled the sugar in the recipes to make them more popular. The result is that I was fatigued, overweight, and acneed, and I developed a lifelong addiction to sweets. My physical health required that I leave all this behind, and now my spirit calls me to bring what I've learned to you. In my 20s, I began a gradual 50-year progression toward veganism. That is, 100% whole foods, plant-based diet. And the closer I adhere to just fruit and tender leafy greens, the better I feel. My life would be so much easier if I believed this diet works for me because of my blood type, or my Ayurvedic body classification, or my specific genes. Then I could simply ask you to tolerate it. Instead, I am pleading that you embrace the possibility that a plant-based diet is imperative for all humans. You see, I believe that each animal species on the earth has an optimal species-specific diet that best serves its biology. And for human beings, this is plants and not animal products. Our closest primate relatives, who are a 95% DNA match to humans, eat this diet and do not suffer from protein deficiency, heart disease, or cancer. Our jaws and teeth are perfect for eating fruit, vegetables, and beans, and are so unlike the jaws and teeth of carnivores, which are suited to kill and eat animals. Our long intestines are perfect for digesting and absorbing fruits, vegetables, and beans, but the long length results in putrefaction of animal flesh. Carnivores have much shorter intestines, which allow animal flesh to pass through quickly without putrefaction. Our hands are great for harvesting fruit without implements, compared with the claws of carnivores, which are perfect for capturing the specific animals they should eat. Finally, our earliest childhood inclination toward fruit and animals was to eat the fruit and to pet and cuddle animals, not to kill and eat them. High in saturated fat and cholesterol, the flesh, eggs, and milk of animals strain our digestion, acidify our blood, clog our arteries, and inflame our intestines. Along with processed food, this diet is causing our growing health crisis. Independent science, that is, studies not funded by the food industries, have found significant correlations between diets high in animal products and our chronic diseases, including heart disease, cancer, obesity, diabetes, arthritis, etc. Studies also show declines in health as countries shift from plant-based diets to diets high in processed foods and animal products. High-performing vegan athletes disprove the myth that we need animal protein to build muscles and calcium from cow's milk to build bones. For example, world record-breaking weightlifter Patrick Bohemian and 9-time Olympic gold medalist Carl Lewis claimed their performance improved when they switched to a vegan diet. The capture, herding, and confinement of animals for food was justified on the misguided notion that animals are inferior to humans. Historians believe that these confined animals were the first capita for each animal, over which families and groups of families fought, with the winners enslaving both the animals and the members of the losing families. Over centuries, slavery was similarly justified on the misguided notion that one race is inferior to another, resulting in slaves being treated no better than animals. This is yet another reason why I believe the herding of animals for food was such a grievous crime against humanity. On factory farms, we cram animals into toxic and stressful situations and force them to eat foods they would never eat in the wild. Their resulting ill health breeds dangerous bacteria and viruses. And as we increase the doses of antibiotics in their feed, we enable more resistant strains, a formula for epidemics and possibly pandemics. So there is an enormous public health opportunity in shifting to a plant-based or vegan diet. The raising of animals for food is far more disastrous to our environment than commonly acknowledged. A conservative estimate is that animal agriculture requires 15 times more land, water, and petroleum than plant-based agriculture. This means we could feed 15 times more people a healthier plant-based diet using the resources we now devote toward systemic violence toward animals. Every day, we are destroying 90,000 acres of Brazil's rainforests and 10,000 acres of forest in the United States to accommodate our voracious appetite for meat. Most of this land is converted to monocrops to fatten animals, destroying in the process countless species of plants and wild animals. The water crisis in our western states would be non-existent if we switched to a plant-based diet. It's estimated that 1 pound of California beef requires over 5,000 gallons of water to produce, whereas 1 pound of California fruit and vegetables requires a mere 24 gallons. The world's confined livestock operations are polluting our streams and oceans from the massive runoff of minimally regulated animal waste, toxic pesticides, and chemical fertilizers. Animal agriculture also contributes more greenhouse gases than all of the world's transportation vehicles combined, including cars, trucks, planes, and ships. Economic inequality is bolstered by our appetite for and addiction to the flesh, eggs, and milk of animals. Poor people especially lose out when the resources that could be devoted to their growing their own food are used for crops for animal feed. And most of the animal produce in the poorer countries is exported, as most of the produce is exported to wealthier countries. An outrageous consequence is that 1 billion people in the wealthier countries now suffer from diseases of dietary excess, while 1 billion people in the poorer countries are undernourished, with some 30,000 people dying every day due to hunger. By paying for and eating animal products, we enable and are complicit in systemic cruelty toward animals, which is carefully hidden from our view. Here are 2 sample stories. Dairy cows. In the wild, a lactating cow and her nursing calf are protected from humans and other animals by a fearsome bull who knows that the calf is the rightful recipient of her milk. Humans are the only species on the planet that drinks the milk of another animal, made possible by our exploitation. A female calf, determined to become a dairy cow, is removed from her mother prematurely so as not to, quote, waste her mother's marketable milk. She is then subjected to painful dehorning, tail docking, and the removal of extra tits that might interfere with electric milking machines. Whereas in the wild, she would not be ready to be pregnant for 3 to 5 years. In our animal factories, she is fed hormones to come into heat when less than a year old. And while restrained, she is inseminated by a sperm gun fired deep into her vagina. Soon after giving birth, she squeals in protest when her baby is taken away and she is hooked up to a milking machine 3 times a day. Soon again, she is re-inseminated, thereby lactating and pregnant simultaneously. This process repeats for some 3 to 5 years when her health is so deteriorated, despite the massive use of antibiotics, that she is trucked off to a slaughterhouse and forced to bleed to death while being skinned upside down by 1 leg. In the wild, she could easily live for another 15 years. Given that my name Vaccaro means cow farmer in Italian, it's ironic that I never grasped the level of cow cruelty enabled by our desires for cheese, ice cream, and other dairy products. Hens. In the wild, a hen will create a private setting to birth her precious eggs and protectively sit on them until they hatch. In egg factories, she is debeaked without anesthesia and then so squished into small wire cages with several other hens that she cannot even open her wings. Her feet become deformed as she clutches the wires in the slanted floor. When she bursts an egg, it rolls away into a conveyor belt, frustrating her desire to sit on it. The cages are stacked several high so that she is continuously bombarded by poop from above, and the piles of poop below create stench for miles around. She is so pushed to produce eggs that by the time she is at the end of her egg-laying cycle, her tortured body has so little flesh that she is slaughtered for low-grade meat used in chicken soup and pet food. The flesh of grass-fed cows and free-range cows and chickens are less laden with antibiotics and hormones. But these meats are still high in saturated fat and cholesterol, as well as the terror of premature slaughter. So what about fish? Fish have pain receptors like other animals, and thereby also suffer when caught and killed for food. As our rivers and oceans are increasingly polluted by the runoff from animal agriculture and other industries, the flesh and oils of fish store toxic substances, including pharmaceuticals, plastics, and heavy metals, in concentrations thousands of times greater than the waters they inhabit. This is because fish literally breathe water continuously. The most toxic fish are imprisoned in commercial fish farms, also laden with fecal matter and antibiotics. Our overfishing drastically reduces the ocean's capacity to self-clean, as exquisitely executed by fish. Especially problematic are the commercial trawlers, whose huge nets haul up all the creatures in their path. A third of these creatures are thrown back, severely damaged, and another third are added to the unnatural feed for animals on factory farms. In the United States, more fish is fed to cows than to humans. It's well documented that slaughterhouse workers who are asked to kill some 75 million animals daily in the United States suffer traumatic disorders and higher than average rates of suicide, domestic abuse, and other crimes. By paying for and eating the flesh of these slaughtered animals, we are complicit in the suffering of these workers as well as the animals. A happiness tracking company recently polled 11,500 North Americans and reported that vegans are statistically happier than meat eaters. It's possible this is because vegans are healthier. However, I believe it's also because vegans know, at some level, that they are respecting the worth and dignity of animals in the interdependent web of all existence. And they know that animals have feelings, personalities, and unique and mysterious instincts, no different from our pets. Now, no one likes to be told what to eat. However, the reason we eat animal products is because we were told to do so by our families since we were toddlers. I certainly was. And our family's instructions were, and still are, reinforced not by independent science, but by studies paid for by the largest and possibly most subsidized industry in our country, the animal food industry, which profits from our buying and eating their products. Their studies typically rave about the protein and other nutrients in their animal-based products, but ignore our body's incapacity to properly digest and absorb these nutrients. Western medicine, controlled by the second largest industry in our country, the pharmaceutical industry, thrives on selling drugs that, quote, treat the chronic illnesses of both humans and confined animals. For example, over 75% of the antibiotics sold by the pharmaceutical giants end up in animal feed. I'll say it again. 75% of the antibiotics sold by the pharmaceutical giants end up in animal feed. Unfortunately for us, these drugs manage our illnesses by suppressing symptoms rather than curing the underlying cause. More than half my aging friends and relatives are on such medications, quote, for life. A lousy sentence for us, but a gold mine for pharmaceutical sales and profits. This is why we cannot expect Western medicine to challenge and rescue us from the animal foods that keep us chronically ill and thereby keep Big Pharma enormously profitable. This rescue must be our calling. I began my shift to a plant-based diet to heal my body. Learning about the benefits to the environment deepened that commitment. However, it was learning how our raising animals for food so violates their natural, instinctual purposes that called me to write this sermon. I want you to shift to a plant-based diet because I love you and want you to live a healthier, longer, and happier life. By changing what we eat, we also have the power of our wallets to promote a monumental shift toward a kinder society. And we will be supporting and be supported by activists for personal health, public health, the environment, social justice, and animal liberation. This diet matters, so let it be.
truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
For the past 2 months, we have been blessed by eloquent and heartfelt opening words and sermons about change. Just last Sunday, Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministries, pleaded for a world in which people want to change, and she challenged us to support each other in our efforts to change. This month, our theme is to embrace possibility. My plea is to embrace the possibility that we can change what we eat. I'm not implying this is an easy change, it's not. But the alternative, chronic illness and pain and a shortened life, is also not easy. More importantly, the rewards beyond our health are enormous. Most of us do not have the wealth to start foundations or fund lobbyist groups or the oratorical skill to change the minds of our countrymen, or the time and inclination to join activist groups. But we do buy food every week and eat 2 or 3 meals every day. That means every day, 2 or 3 times a day, we have an opportunity to do something good for ourselves, the environment, social justice, and animals. Any meal can become a celebration of compassion, freedom, and hope. We can start with small steps, maybe 1 meal a week, either replacing an animal product with a plant-based whole food or simply leaving out the animal product. Certainly, these changes will require discipline, but more important than discipline is community support. Fortunate for us, we have that in abundance at South Church. If we were just interested in our physical health, diet would be one of several pillars to consider, along with exercise, community, sleep, sunlight, clean water and air, positive thoughts, and finding our purpose. However, when we factor in the relationship of a plant-based diet to planetary health, social justice, and animal well-being, the relative importance of a plant-based diet is extraordinary. There are signs that a shift to a whole foods, plant-based diet is in the works and gaining steam. But to reach a tipping point, we need ordinary folk like you and me to jump on board. Margaret Mead said it well. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Go in hope, go in compassion, go in peace, and go knowing that your diet matters.